Thank you for joining me for designing multi-device applications with FireUI and TMultiView at CodeRage 9. My name is Sarina Dupont, and I'm a Senior Product Manager at Embarcadero Technologies. Now, what is FireUI? FireUI is Embarcadero's collection of multiple technologies that allow you to easily develop applications for multiple form factors, platforms, target devices, etc. And it consists of three key technologies. The UI Form Designer that has support for designing for each custom view. So for each key form factor, we have a view available. So for example, an Android 5-inch view, an Android 7-inch view, etc. And at runtime, it will detect the most closely matched view and display that view on your target device. We also have a new TMultiView component, and the TMultiView component automatically adjusts its presentation depending on form factor and orientation. So for example, you can display it as a drawer on a phone and as a docked navigation panel on a tablet in landscape mode, or a popover navigation. You can also fully customize the multi-view component. You can adjust functionality such as the sliding duration of the drawer, whether or not the drawer overlaps with the main content that you're seeing in your application, whether it pushes the content off screen. You can also adjust the touch target size in regards to how responsive the drawer is. When it comes to dock navigation, you can adjust the width, etc. So it's fully customizable. Using our behavior services, we have built-in behavior for each of these multi-view presentations for each target platform. Now, they can also be overwritten, and you can easily just disable them if you want to fully customize the multi-view presentation for a particular target, for example. So if you didn't want to display the multi-view as a drawer on the phone, for example, you could switch platform behavior to drawer, panel, popover, or custom if you wanted to create your own custom presentation for that multi-view component. Now, the multi-device designer makes it really easy to design user interfaces across multiple devices. And we have a set of predefined views, and those include Windows views, Mac views, Android views, and iOS views. Of course, you can also add your own custom views. So let's say you are targeting a very specific form factor, such as a Moto 360 watch. You could create your own view, create a package for it, install it into the IDE, and then you can design for that particular view. And at runtime, it's going to detect that view and display the view that you designed for the Moto 360, for example, instead of displaying another Android view. We also extended the native desktop styles to have the same UI elements as mobile. So when you're designing a multi-device application, this allows you to easily have a very similar UI that includes the same UI elements such as glyph buttons, etc. across all your platforms that you're developing for. And again, it's one project and a single form across all the different devices, and you have shared UI code and event handling. You can also select on each view, you can add your own code to customize how that view is presented, what code you want to have executed, etc. But each view inherits the code from the master. Now, when it comes to user interface styling, we have native user interface styling built in for iOS, Android, Windows, and Mac. On iOS, it includes a 1x, 2x, and also 3x resolution to account for the larger form factors such as the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus. On Android, we have 1x, 1.5x, 2x, and 3x resolution. On Mac, we have 1x and 2x for Retina, and on Windows, we have 1x resolution. So those are all the default native styles. We also have premium styles that are available and are supported on all four platforms. So if you have a quick look here at the screenshot, you will see that we have, in addition to the native user interface styling, we also have premium styles. And they're available as part of our premium style pack. You can also, of course, create your own custom styles using the Bitmap style designer that's included with the product. Now, let's talk a little bit about modernizing existing VCL Windows applications. There are many different built-in Vcl styles that you can apply by just going to Project Options Appearance in your VCL application to fully customize the look of your VCL Windows application. We also have premium VCL styles. And for many of the premium Vcl styles, there is a matching FireMonkey style counterpart. And what that means is you could update the look of your Vcl Windows application and then create companion apps, such as a tethered application like you see in the screenshot here for a mobile photo wall, or an application that you are deploying, let's say, in your warehouse where it's a barcode scanner application, for example, and it's running on a mobile device, and it checks the inventory that you have in your warehouse against the inventory application that's running on your desktop machine. So you could have them have very similar user interface styling by using custom styles. So let's get started with some demos. So here's an application that I built for this demo. It's an HR manager application, and this application uses the multi-view and also many different UI elements. And you can show and hide UI elements across the different views depending on your target form factor's screen real estate. So in this case here, what I've set my style to Windows on the master, and all the user interface styles across Windows and Mac have been extended to have the same user interface elements as their mobile counterparts. So for example, here you can set a bookmarks tool button, and it has the same styling that you would have then on, let's say, iOS, in the sense that when you switch this to your iOS application, you're going to get a styled bookmark button. And when you switch it to Windows, you get a style bookmark button. The glyph will look different, but you have the same style elements available. So you can build a universal user interface, so to speak, that has matching UI elements. The form and master view is where you're going to be developing your application, designing the user interface for your application, but also be defining most of your application logic. When we go into each of the views, you can also define application logic on each of the views, but it's really good to design your UI and define your application logic as much as possible on the master view. So the created views here are the views that we've created and we selected from the available views, and these are predefined views. Available are the additional predefined views that you can select from or custom views that you have installed. So let's say you're working with a custom form factor such as a Moto 360 watch. You could easily create your own custom view, create a package, install it into the IDE, and then you would see that view here. And then you would add that view to your project when you're deploying your application. And then it would select that view at runtime. So for example, you could design a watch interface by defining a custom view. So let's have a look here at our application. The multi-view component consists of a parented list view that's aligned to the client, and we also have a toolbar that's aligned to the top. And the multi-view component is a container, so to speak, so you can parent many different types of controls to it. However, it's really designed to be used for navigation, and so lists are a common element when building application navigation. So what we have here is we have our multi-view component, and if we select our mode property, you can see that it's set to platform behavior. And what that means is that at runtime, it's automatically going to behave a certain predefined way that we have set. So for example, on an iPhone, it's going to display itself as a slide and drawer. So this company employees navigation on the left here, the list is going to be hidden by default and invoked via a swipe, for example. On an iPad, it's going to be shown as a docked panel in landscape mode, and then as a slide and drawer in portrait mode. So we have various predefined behaviors that are invoked at runtime via the platform behavior mode. If you wanted to overwrite that particular behavior for a specific view, you could just select the mode property and then toggle it to the view option that you want. So for example, the drawer option, a panel, or popover, or custom. Now, for each of these options, we also have some settings that you can define. So, for example, for the drawer, we have various drawer settings. We have the duration sliding, so how long is it going to slide for? The mode, overlap detail view, or we also have pushing detail view. So overlap means that when the drawer comes in, it's going to overlap and cover the content that you're seeing in your application, your detail view content. Pushing means it's going to push that content over to the side as the drawer slides in and it makes space for the drawer to show. Placement is the left or right placement of the drawer and how it's invoked, meaning you would swipe in from the right if it has placement on the right, and if you would swipe in from the left if it has placement on the left side. And the touch area size, and that's where you can define the touch target size as you like. Then we also have different properties for some of the other options, such as popover. You can again select appearance duration, so at what speed it comes up and how it appears when the popover is shown. The pop-up height, the height of that popover when it's shown. You can work with styles. You can also set the color, etc. Then we also have our control size, and that's the height and width of our multi-view, and you can set that to the size you like. And we also have the split view option. So for example, whether or not the list, the multi-view component is shown on the right or left. So by default, it's on the left, but you can toggle that as you like. Now let's have a look at our toolbar here. And this toolbar has a label for the application title and two buttons. It has my refresh tool button here, and this is just this T-speed button aligned to the right that I've set to refresh tool button. And then we also have another speed button. It's our details tool button. And if I set that to visible here, you'll see this is the three-line icon that you usually see as another way of invoking the drawer menu. And many applications today that you likely are using on a frequent basis are using that paradigm as part of their user interface. So you can either swipe in the drawer or you can click on that icon to show the drawer navigation. And the way that that is defined here too is if we go to our multi-view component, we have a master button property, and that's set to speed button 2. And that is this button. And what that allows me to do is say, okay, I want to invoke the multi-view with its platform behavior that we've defined, both using the standard way via the platform behavior, such as being able to slide in a drawer on an iPhone in portrait mode, and also by clicking the master button. So let's have a look at some of the other views. So here we have an Android 5-inch view. So for example, here you will see that we're hiding some of the user interface that we have defined on the master. So here I have a separate list control, tablet HR list. And this is a list that I've named tablet HR list to make it easier for me to identify as I'm going between my views that is a section of UI elements that I want to hide on all form factors that aren't at least a tablet size. So for example, if I switch to my Android 5-inch view, you'll see here that I am not showing the tablet HR list. If I go to my Employees tab, tablet HR list, you'll see that it's set to invisible. So visible is set to false. And here, of course, you can also adjust like the height and width, for example, of your memos to fit for that particular form factor. So if I go to iPhone 4-inch here, I can adjust the height, for example, of my memo here. You could change the font. So for example, here I could go into text settings for iPhone and set the font to blue if I wanted to. So you can fully customize the UI for each of your views as you like. If you go to iPad here, you'll see that I have that additional UI section and it's set to visible. So again, if I go to tablet HR list, that's my list box here, and I go to visible, you'll see that it's set to true because on a tablet form factor like my iPad, I've set that to true because I have a lot of additional screen real estate available. OS X is the same. I have a lot of screen real estate available, and I want to be able to show that section of my UI when the application is run on a desktop. So for example here, if you wanted to adjust the width and height of this particular button because you didn't want it to run so close to the bottom of the toolbar, you could go to the margins property here and you could set top and bottom properties. So you could fully customize those to adjust the presentation of your UI element. So you can see here I've made that control smaller by adjusting the bottom and top margins for that particular button. So if I switch now to Windows here, you see it has the same UI as my master form because on the master form I had set the style to Windows. And then of course if I go to an Android 10-inch tablet, again I have a lot more screen real estate. I'm going to want to show the tablet HR panel. And this is just done by toggling the visibility of this whole list box, and I just select it and I set my visibility to true or false. Now let's have a look at what this looks like at runtime. So for example, here I have my iPhone. I'm going to deploy this to iPhone on my simulator. So here you see the app running on my iPhone, And you can see here I have my master button, and I can show and hide the UI either by swiping it in or by using my master button. Now let's see what this looks like on an iPad. So here you see that in portrait mode, I have my button for invoking my menu, and I also can swipe it in if I didn't want to click on the details button. And if I now rotate my device, let's say rotate left, you can see that if I'm rotating my device, I now no longer see that button because I have my docked panel. And again, you could easily align this docked panel to the left or right. Now, you can also work with custom styles. So I'm going to go back to the master view here and select a style book. And when working with styles, you're going to want to load the appropriate custom style when you're working with custom styles for each of your views. So when working with the master view, place your style book onto the master, and then select the premium style that matches the style setting you've set here. So in this case, I've set it to Windows. So I'm going to load a premium Windows style. So for example, my Emerald Dark style. Click Apply and Close, and then on your form, you're going to want to go to the stylebook setting and set it to stylebook. This will apply the custom style to your Windows view here. And so now if I go to my Android view, I'm going to want to load my Android style. The premium Android style has different resolutions built right into it. So it has graphics for 1x, 1.5x, 2x, and 3x resolutions built right in. So for example, here I'm going to select the FMX Android style, and I'm going to select the Coral Crystal style. As you can see here, this is one of our other custom styles, and that I've now applied to my Android view. And if I go to iPad, I'm going to want to select my iPad style. And I'm just going to go through some of the different styles that we have available as part of our premium style pack. So for example, I'm going to select the iOS Sterling style. It's a nice light style. If I go to iPhone, I'm going to select a different custom style. So going back to my Android style, my style book here, and I'm going to select the iOS Emerald Dark style. And then you can go to, let's say, OS 10. For OS 10, you're going to want to load the OS 10 style. Such as the Emerald Crystal style. So you can see that you can easily customize the application UI using premium styles as well. Now you can also, of course, customize the UI for each of the views when working with the custom styles. For example, here I could say I want to move the button over to the right some more, and I could easily just adjust the margins to change the position of that particular control. Now when working with FireUI, you can also use FireUI to extend your existing VCL apps to FireMonkey. And for example, here I have a tethered desktop application. This is a photo frame application. Basically, I'm going to take my photo application here that I have designed for iOS and Android, and I'm going to run that application on my iOS device and my Android device. I'm going to be able to send a picture back to the desktop wall application. When it comes to the premium styles, let's say I have a desktop wall app here, you can go to the project options for VCL, and you can easily change the appearance of your UI. So in this case, for example, I have Emerald. Emerald is one of the styles that we have a matching style for on the FireMonkey side. So you could select that, run it on Windows. Let's see right here. And if I switch back to my mobile application, I have a very similar style on mobile. Of course, it has the mobile UI elements, etc., but the color scheme will be very similar. And so that's a nice way of building and extending an existing VCL application to mobile if you want to work with custom styles. So for example, here, if I switch to Android view, I could load my custom Android style. This is my Emerald Dark Android style. See, this is my Emerald Dark Android style. And then you can have your iPhone style, your Android style, and you can have your VCL style as a very similar theme. The same is also the case if you go back here to project options on the VCL side and you select another one of our custom styles, such as Jet, and you run that on Windows as your VCL application. Now you go to your mobile application, and I'll select my iPhone 4 view, Stylebook, and now I'm going to load the iOS Jet style that we have. Here's iOS Jet style. And then on Android, I'm going to load the Android Jet style. So here you see that we have our VCL application that's running on Windows, and we have an application we built for mobile, and this is actually one of the demos that's included with XE7 that is tethered to this desktop application. So we can take a photo with our application here on iOS or Android and then send it to our VCL application. And in this case, we're using a tethering component, and it's set to network, and the desktop wall application is also using a tethering component and it's set to network. The other option, of course, is to select Bluetooth, which is a new feature in XE7. So I'm going to take this mobile application and I'm going to deploy it to my iOS device. So here you see the app running on my iOS device with my Jet style. And here you see the app on the Windows side running on my Windows machine. This is my VCL Media Receiver app. And if I go back here to my Mac and you see my iOS device is connected, I'm here in the studio and I'm going to take a photo. Select Use Photo. And then here you see the photo that I just took with my iOS application. So we've also extended our existing Metropolis UI styles to include the same UI elements as their mobile counterparts, and those are the touch styles. So for example, I can apply my Metropolis black touch style here to my application, and you'll see that it has the Metropolis touch style applied to it, and this is our Windows 8 styles. And all the Windows 8 Metropolis styles, there's 4 of them, have been extended to include the same UI elements, and those are the Metropolis UI touch styles, and they're included with RadStudio XE7. So now I'm going to open it up to some questions.
And the question was, if you've got an existing VCL app, then you can use utilities like the Media Converter. Just go to MediaConverter.com. It's also the basic edition is a free download for XE7 customers from the registered user download area. So you don't have to build a VCL app to move it to FireMonkey. But if you have a VCL app, you can use that Media Converter. It'll convert the form files for a lot of your applications, not the third-party components, but the UI parts of your forms and so on. Then he has a Media Converter Professional and Studio Edition where you can do even more. But otherwise, you can say File New, Multi-Device, C++ application, and that is a FireMonkey app. And from there, you're in the Multi-Device Designer versus the VCL Designer, Rob. So just if you're building a new project, start right into FireMonkey Multi-Device. And then your application runs on Win32, Win64, OS X, iOS, and Android. Just by setting target platform and build and using the multi-device designer, the platform services, the behavior services, and so on, and all the UI components. And you have your choices of having styled FireMonkey user interface controls or to use the native controls underneath for many of the controls. So all of that is part of platform services and behavior services, as Jim and Sarina talked about. So you don't have to build a VCL app if you're starting a new project. Just go right to Multi-Device Designer, and that's FireMonkey. So File New, C++, Multi-Device Application, and there's like 8 project templates for starting. And multi-device equals FireMonkey. Just have that. Exe6 and before it was new C++ FireMonkey application. Now it's just multi-device application, and it uses FireMonkey under the covers. Are all these features available in Exe7 Pro? Yes. All the UI and design, platform services, the TMultiView, the menus, toolbars, all of those user interface components are all in the Pro Edition and the Enterprise Pro and above Enterprise Architect. Two things, though. If you have C++ Builder Pro, then you need to purchase the mobile add-on pack to get the mobile extras to do anything other than Windows and OS X desktop. So if you need to do iOS and Android and you have the Pro edition of Exe7, then you need a mobile add-on pack. If you have Rad Studio Pro Exe7, that includes the mobile pack. So are these features available in Exe7 Pro? For desktop, yes. For mobile, you need the mobile add-on pack if you have C++ Builder. But Rad Studio includes the mobile pack in the Rad Studio Pro. Let's see. Rob says, I've created styles for custom components. How easy to create your own style like the shipped components? There's a Bitmap editor. It's a tool that's in the bin folder. And it's the Bitmap Style Designer. Yeah, it's the Bitmap Style Designer.exe. It's in the Studio 15 bin folder. So the Bitmap Style Designer allows you to build Vcl style files and FireMonkey style files. You can also use Stylebook and the primitives to make changes, and you can do anything you want in code as well. You can set fonts and all the different properties that are available. And again, the default behavior is when you choose a certain target platform and you're in the multi-device designer for that platform and that target device, you're going to get the default look on Android, the default look on iOS. But as Sarina showed you, you can change and use a different style. Use a Metropolis style, that dark style. You can use light styles, the custom styles. You can also open up the style files that we give you and customize them and then hook them into your application. So you have all the possibilities to do style manipulations and create custom styles, Rob. Let's see. Ahmad saying, just want to say Exe7 is your best C++ builder version and FireUI is genius idea. Thank you very much, Ahmed. The team, of course, likes to hear all that feedback. I'll pass that along. And, of course, we have more to do because all the platforms are not sitting still under the covers. Windows is going up to Windows 10. We all have the preview here in our VMs, and we're watching what's going on. We're watching, with OS 10 Yosemite, and you can go to Sarina's blog. She always keeps everybody up to date on styles and platform changes and updated style files to take advantage of new looks and feel that are coming out. So make sure you follow Sarina on her blogs because she's really the point person on a lot of the style and platform look and feel things. That's one of the areas she's focused on in product management. And she puts up the latest news in blogs and samples. And you can also just go to her blog, and then one of the tags she has, I think, is FireMonkey, and another one is like iOS or styles, and you'll see a lot of the different blog posts. Okay, so Senador is asking, is App Method the same as FireMonkey? Well, App Method is similar to our Delphi C++ Builder Rad Studio products. It's multi-device only. It doesn't have VCL. It doesn't have Borland Database Engine. There's things that it doesn't have. And it also has a different licensing model, which is an annual subscription. So App Method, you can download it. The free trial gives you all the multi-device. This is the September 2014 release. And then App Method, if you don't purchase the subscription, then it dials down to being a C++ Android smartphone free development IDE for building Android smartphone apps. So in the 30-day period, App Method can build everything, tablet apps, smartphone apps, using FireMonkey. So FireMonkey is the component UI framework, just as FireDAC is the data access components. So App Method is its own product with a specific target of multi-device application development, whereas C++ Builder and Rad Studio are for the developers that need to do Windows, need to do VCL, need to do data snap, need to do local database access, need to do other things that are not specifically related to multi-device. But think of C++ Builder and Rad Studio as a superset. It's got everything that we have. EMS support, all of that. And App Method is for multi-device development, for people in startups that are doing mobile development. Maybe they need to do some desktop, but primarily they're focused on doing mobile app for iOS and Android, and maybe backend as a service, cloud services, REST services. That's sort of the distinction about which is for which. And again, always want to make sure that you understand, if you need it all, C++ Builder and Rad Studio. If you're focused on mobile and cloud and backend as a service and data access, especially for mobile, then App Method is a good choice. And again, purchase a license or subscription. They both give you perpetual license, but subscription is the way that App Method works. And you can see the differences on the appmethod.com site versus the C++ Builder Rad Studio site. You'll see the feature matrix pricing and so on. And Neil, thank you for the comment. I'll pass that along. Sarina is in Studio 1 right now with Jim, so she's not in my Studio 2. Neil is complimenting Sarina's demos. They really show you how to use the tools, the designers, the styles, UI, best practices for UI. She has videos and articles about that. So if you want to know how to build, good-looking, compliant UIs for iOS to get in the App Store, she's got the guidance for you. If you want to get it into Google and the Play Store, she's got the guidance for you on all the different platforms. Windows 8, eventually Windows 10, all of that. She's got great blog posts and videos for there, and I will pass those compliments. Yeah, she couldn't be in two places at one time, although maybe she'll come by and say hi. Let's see. Is there going to be an external FMX style designer like Microsoft Blend to create vector-based styles? Well, we have the separate bitmap style designer for doing bitmap styles. We used to do vector in the earlier years, but we're not planning to do a separate tool for separating out someone who might be the style designer versus the developer. But we have the external tools that you can use or that you could give to somebody else to build a style file for you. So the bitmap, the style designer would let someone else create styles for you and then give the style file that you would use in your application. So nothing specifically like expression blend. We believe in that native pixel for pixel look. And so the style the style designer is there. Stephen, or thank you for that. Again, reiterating, Sarina. Yeah, we love everything that she's doing. So yeah, the style designer is there. You can give that to somebody who's creating styles for you. We're not doing it through markup languages. We're really doing it through the style files, and then composing styles, which you can do, and customizing styles. So those tools are separate from the IDE, but you can also do it in the IDE. It's your choice. If you do it in the IDE, then it's hooked into your application. If somebody creates an external file, you can, again, put the style file using the style book and link it into your application, or you can load the style file at this runtime. And Sarina has blogs about everything related to styles, how you link them in, how you put them in your project as a resource file, and how you load them from a resource file, and how to load them from external files at runtime. So you have all the possibilities on how you deliver apps. You might deliver an app with some styles built in, but have some logic in your code for loading an external style file. And then you could deliver to your customers a style file, and then through maybe a menu or some other interface of settings on a mobile app, they could load this new or updated style, and then you wouldn't have to redeploy an application. You could get the file. You could load it from a service, grab it from a service, bring it down, and store it locally, and then use it in your app. So you have all the flexibility of building in, loading it as a resource, and loading it from an external file. Okay. Other questions about multi-device and styles? And again, if you missed Jim McKeith's session before that, where he talked about how to create custom views for the multi-device designer, that'll be in the replay if you didn't see the previous session. That's how we build up the views for the different devices, and we'll keep adding standard ones to those lists. There's documentation on DocWiki about how to create your own custom view for the multi-device designer. You create a package file, and then with your data and code, and Bitmap, and then you install that package file, and then your custom view would show up in the views menu in the multi-device designer. So that's all documented with the steps in the DocWiki and the help. Look for custom view or multi-device designer custom views. That's where you'll find it. Let's see. How come when I create and register a custom FMX control like in DocWiki, it gets installed, but the default style is not loaded when I try to edit it? I'll have to think about what you're doing. So I'm going to make sure I understand. You've created your own custom control, maybe your version of a button or whatever. And then it should pick up the default style. But I need to, I'm going to have you send me an email at david@embarcadero.com. You need to make sure when you create a control, a FireMonkey control, how it works with whatever style is selected, whether it uses the default style or whether you've done your own custom styling for that control. So when I try to edit from edit default style menu, okay, I'll have to check. So again, send me also Sarina Dupont at Embarcadero. So you can send me an email, but if you send Sarina Dupont an email, okay, Rob, and your note about creating custom styles like the premium styles, and again, that's all in the Bitmap style designer. And I see Sarina outside. So, okay, Sarina, there were a few questions about creating custom styles. I told people about the Bitmap style designer
Correct.
as an external tool because several people have been asking how to create their own custom styles like the premium styles.
Yeah, so I recently did a tutorial on my blog, blogs.embarcadero.com/Sarina Dupont, that highlighted how to customize the styles for VCL. I'll do one soon on FireMonkey. The one thing I wanted to point out is the Bitmap style designer. You can find it's installed with your product. I believe it's in the bin directory. You can also access it via the IDE by going to Tools Bitmap Style Designer. And there are actually templates right inside the Bitmap Style Designer for creating your own iOS or Android style. So for Android, you will want to create a style with a 1x, 1.5x, 2x, and 3x resolution. And what that means is the graphics you provide for that style have to be provided in 4 sizes. And then what happens is when you actually save that style, when you're done creating it, and apply it to your application, it will automatically at runtime will detect the resolution of your device and load the most appropriate style. So either 1x, 1.5x, 2x, or 3x style. And that's why you would want to provide those graphics and those sizes. So an example would be, let's say your style PNG file would be 500 by 500 of 1x. 1.5x would be 750 by 750. 2x would be 1000 by 1000 pixels, etc. And if you go to the Bitmap style designer and you say file new Android style, for example, it will actually create some style PNGs for you. You could then export them. There's an export up button to your favorite graphics program, let's say Photoshop or whatever graphics tool you use, and it's a transparent PNG, and then you create whatever style you want. Re-import it into the Bitmap style designer, and then you have to basically map out your controls. So if you have a button inside the Bitmap style designer, there's a way to select the outlines for the button so that when the user clicks on it, they see that outline of the graphic. And I'll do a series soon. I'm planning on doing some different tutorials on how to customize a style with the Bitmap style designer.
Because a couple of people mentioned about things like the Microsoft Expression Blend, where they use an external tool, and you can give that to a designer to customize, create a style, and give it to the developer. So I mentioned somebody could use the Bitmap style designer, give you a style. You could then load the style. You have blogs about not only using a style at design time, but loading it from a resource,
yes,
and even linking to it,
yes,
loading it at runtime
yes,
as well.
You can load the style also at runtime. The benefit of course, of loading it at design time is you can use the style lookup property in the IDE for each control to switch the appearance of that particular control. So, for example, a speed button, you can switch between different glyph buttons, regular buttons, etc.
And Ahmed, he had an issue. He created his own custom FireMonkey control, and he was saying that he got the control installed, but the default style is not being loaded when he tries to do any editing of his custom control style.
What is he? I guess it depends on what your control is based on. What other control is it based on? Any of the deriving from any of our existing controls?
Well, he said it was a custom FMX control. I don't know if that meant you're saying like if he created his own button, or his own edit box, or a custom box. So Ahmed, if you want to follow, it said it was derived from T-styled control.
Well, he might want to reach out to me through my blog and send me an email.
And I gave you your email address.
Okay, yeah, send me an email and follow up with me and just give me a little bit more information on what you were doing, and then I can look into that for you and provide you with some input.
And then several great feedback comments about your blog and your demos and your videos, how clean and clear they are for people. So
thank you. Yeah, that's always great to hear. Thanks a lot. I appreciate the feedback, and if there's specific things that you're looking for that you want me to highlight on my blog, you can always comment on my blog. I do read all my comments, and if there's things you're looking for, just let me know.
And then somebody was saying, is there ever going to be a Tron style for VCL, or the transparent style?
That is something currently the Vcl Styles do not have support for transparency. So that's why there is no Tron style for VCL, or Tron-like style for VCL. You can achieve similar looks if you had, let's say, a dark button and, let's say, blue text. But FireMonkey has that whole system for transparency. So that's why, we have that on the FireMonkey side, but not on the VCL side. That being said, we have a lot of different styles for VCL, and you can easily apply them via project options appearance. One of the things I showed today, and I think this should be of real interest to you if you have a VCL application that you're looking to extend to mobile, is working with some of those premium styles that are part of our XE7 style pack, and being able to theme your desktop, your existing VCL desktop application, to have basically the same UI as your mobile application. So for example, you can take your existing VCL application, apply the green emerald style, and then build a tethered application, like in my example, tethered via Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, and skin that application of the same emerald green style. So you can basically fully modernize your existing application by applying a custom style, and then extend it to mobile with that same look and feel, so you can have a fully custom looking application.
And then there was an earlier question by Rob. I've created styles for custom components. how easy is it to create your own custom styles, like the premium styles using the style book? And I talked about Bitmap Style Designer and loading the style book, but he says it seems to be based around control styles, not what I would call style primitives, so that you can change text, for example, throughout the system.
Yeah, there are ways of looking at the style itself in a text format and making text changes. I can cover that in a blog as well on how you would do that, because you can look at that style file and in text format and make changes there if you didn't want to make them in the Bitmap Style Designer. When you're creating your own styles, you're going to want to export those style graphics to a graphics program like, let's say, Photoshop. And if you are creating your own styles that way, you would want to know how to work with a graphics program, either you yourself or working with another outside designer that could help you with that.
And then for creating the named for styles to do style lookup, that's part of the Bitmap Style Designer?
Yes, you can define that there.
Yeah, you can define the names.
And you can also like assign an existing style lookup to another control. So let's say you have your own button, you could put in a style lookup button style, and it would take on the style that's predefined in your style file for that particular control. So you can reference an existing style name with another control as well.
Yeah, the other area, if in your program in code, if you want to do something for some reason at runtime, you can use the RTTI, the extended runtime type information, to go find all the controls and find any controls that have, let's say, a text property or the text settings, so you could go in and do changes at runtime of your application to change the color or size of fonts for anything that has a text and text settings property. You can use RTTI, but normally you'd want to apply a style to make a global change.
And you can also, with the FireMonkey styles, including the native styles that you see in the IDE for iOS, Android, Windows, and Mac, you can also customize them. For some of the controls, like the button styles, you can go, there's a tint property. So you select your control, let's say it's T button, select your T button in the object inspector, you scroll down, you select a style lookup property such as one of the glyph buttons, like your bookmark tool button or button style, and there will be a tint property exposed for some of them that have the ability that give you the ability to change the color. So when you see the tint property, that is in tune with whatever you've selected in the style lookup property. So for some of the styles, for some of the style option, there is no tint property available, so you're going to want to select style lookup, and let's say you're selecting glyph button or the regular button style or list item button, you'll see a tint property exposed. And that tint property then allows you to change the colors. So for some of the controls that have transparency, like on the iOS side, it would allow you to change the outline color. On the Android side, it will allow you to change the fill color. So it depends on the style, and it will allow you to change the colors. There's also, as David mentioned, a text settings property, and that allows you to change things like the font, the type of the font attributes, whether it's italicized, for example, or bold, the colors, etc. And when you want to apply a change via the object inspector, and you want to override the style presets that we have defined via our style lookup, you're going to want to go to the style settings. So every control that can be styled has a style settings property in the object inspector, and you can expand that and you can toggle certain settings off. So let's say you wanted to overwrite the font. You're going to want to expand the style settings property, uncheck font, and then make your changes in text settings. That allows you to override the predefined font that we have set for that particular control.
Okay. So I think, Sarina, that was most of it, and Med's going to send you an email because he had some more specific questions.
Yeah, please do, and if there's something I don't know, I'll research it for you.
Yep. Okay, everyone. And Sarina, thanks. I saw you outside, so I was frantically waving because I guess you finished your session.
Yes, I was simultaneously presenting in 2 sessions.
So next time you have to be able to do both streams at the same time.
I'll have to beam myself over here.
There you go.